I am not a Bath Rugby fan, but I'm very, very happy for Bath Rugby. Some thoughts on the Premiership final. What an occasion. What a match. What a performance. Well, I say what a match. It sort of lacked quality a lot, but it did not lack tension, and it felt like a final, and little moments felt like big moments, and that's all I want from a final, frankly. And there's not many people, even Leicester fans, who I have to say have been very, very classy in the aftermath of the game. Very few people would begrudge Bath a first title since 1996, the first in the properly professional era, and a long time coming. As you can see, I am wearing a Bath jersey. Like I say, I'm not a Bath fan. This jersey, well, it was my brother's jersey. He played for Bath. I lived in Bath. I went to university in Bath. So I've got very much, I bought my first ever house in Bath as well. So I've got a very soft spot for the club. I used to stroll on a Saturday when I didn't go and watch and there was a game on. I'd quite often be one of those people stood by the railings just off Pulteney Street. There's this little spot where you can see about 2/3, or you could at least, I don't know if it's still the same, I've not been there in a while, but you could stand by the railings and watch and see about 2/3 of the pitch. So you could kind of almost watch the match. So I used to do a little bit of that. So it's a storied, it's a history, it's a brilliant rugby club. There will have been fathers or grandfathers even who remember the glory days of Bath, quite often beating Leicester in massive, important games. So I used to, the rugby club I used to go to every single year when I was like a mini, like 6, 7, 8 years old, the club would take 2 busloads of people to Twickenham, and then you'd have your big barbecue and drinks in the West car park, and then you'd go and watch the Pilkington Cup final, as it was. And I don't know what other sponsors. It was Pilkington Cup when I remember it anyway. But Bath were always in the final. Always. Year after year after year. So they're back to the glory days, and you can't begrudge them that. And it's a beautiful thing. Also, their stash is amazing. It is now. I love their kit now. This is one of my favourite rugby kits. I have very few rugby shirts, and I don't really wear rugby shirts. And as you can see, this one's way too big for me. Like I say, it was my brother's. But class stash that Bath have. Anyway, I'll talk about Leicester, where this leaves them, the men that are leaving, where it leaves Bath and the dynasty they might be building, what you thought of the game and what happened, which went right down to the wire in the end. It looked like Bath 2 scores up with time running out. We're gonna have a slightly more comfortable finish, but it was a grand slam finish with Leicester taking it right to the wire. And again, let me just say apologies for having no video up yesterday. I was travelling from Greece. I'm back home. So I appreciate your patience with me. But hey, enjoy this and get stuck in the comments down below. Now the dust has settled. There's maybe more talking points to go at. 23 points to 21 it finished. And so much to love about this. Most importantly, this was everything that's great about the Gallagher Premiership, which has been dragged through the mud a little bit, rightly so. It's had some self-inflicted poor management. It operates a bit like a cartel, and I don't like that. There is all sorts of mismanagement by Prem Rugby, by the RFU. There's teams that have gone bust, and there's only 10 in the league. But at the top, at the very best end, the Gallagher Premiership is awesome. The rivalry between these clubs, like I say, Bath and Leicester, the waters run very deep. The rivalry and respect is there. It's a fixture that's been played for, over 100 years. And it was full at Twickenham. It's always good weather in the Premiership final. It always seems to be great weather. I've been to many a final there. I worked on many a final there with BT Sport, and it was always absolutely scorching, and it was again. And yeah, and full. Twickenham being absolutely full. It felt like a great occasion. I will just say, lean into that tradition a little bit more, rugby, Prem Rugby. Stop trying to make it like the Super Bowl. Like that Sam Ryder national anthem was a joke. What on earth was that? It was, it just felt awkward. Was he even actually playing the guitar, or was he miming it? You know what I mean? Miming, pretending to play the guitar. It was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Some of the looks on the players' faces were like, what's going on here? I mean, I like that they try stuff. Not the Sam Ryder guitar national anthem thing. If it was Brian May from Queen stood on the roof of Twickenham doing it, maybe might have let that one go. But Sam Ryder, nah. No. It just felt a bit naff. But I like that they were trying things, like they had the different way of the teams coming out onto the pitch, captain first, then the forwards, then the backs. A little bit more like American football. I get it, but this isn't the Super Bowl. This is the Premiership final. And the thing that Premiership rugby does better than any other competition is have those historic rivalries that go back so deep. And so lean into that a little bit more. Also, a few other things, like on the Bath shirt, what was it was like War and Peace written on their jersey. Was another thing I noticed. What else did I notice? Bruce Craig's son is just like exactly like Bruce Craig. They just wear the same clothes. He looks like one of the yuppies in American Psycho. That's how. But loved it. Anyway, that was all the build-up. We get into the actual match. And, well, before I go there, let's just say the best team all year has won the Premiership. And they absolutely were the best team. And we've had 2 finals now where top of the table, URC and Premiership, top of the table, favourites, best team, end-to-end in the season, go out and deliver on the big stage. And after the pain of last year, that will be massively satisfying for Bath. And you've got to be so delighted for guys like Beno Urbano, just to name one. But there are many such players. Also, you have to give a massive amount of credit to Leicester Tigers for making it as tight as it was. And for making it being as difficult to break down and beat as they were. They forced, Bath made so many errors in that first half, particularly like absolute dick fingers. The hands were shocking. But that was just the doggedness of Leicester, who really managed to stay in the game and take it right down to a grandstand finish when they didn't really start playing their game until 60 minutes. And that might make it quite a frustrating defeat for Leicester, knowing that had they brought their A game, they probably would have won, because Bath made a lot of mistakes, but they just had the class when it counted. I will just say on Leicester, not a great way for Andre Pollard to end his career there. Missed kicks. And, he didn't have a great semi-final, hasn't had a great final. And the one thing, when I was talking it up and when I was doing my combined team before the game, I was saying I would pick Andre Pollard because cup finals, big matches, you might need a clutch kicker. And if Leicester had had a clutch kicker, they might have won that Premiership final. Andre Pollard missed kicks, threw the interception pass, and it was Finn Russell, who, as I've been saying, gets described far too often as a maverick fly half. He is not. He has a brilliant range of passing, really creative kicking game, but his solid fundamentals are brilliant and quite often overlooked. So, fair play. Finn Russell was the pick of the tens. Not a great way for Julien Montoya to end his Leicester career. Talismanic he's been for them. And going out with a yellow card. Not a great way for Michael Checker to end his tenure as Leicester coach, with his team coughing up loads and loads of penalties. I'll talk about Carl Dixon in a bit. Not a great way for Ben Youngs to end his Leicester career. His legend status is beyond doubt, but a box kick on 79 minutes, his last effective act for Leicester Tigers when they were chasing a win. Not a great way for Dan Cole to end his career. That unsatisfactory way for Dan Cole to end his career, that I almost reckon he should come back and play another season just to banish the memory of that jump. The first time in his entire career I've ever seen Dan Cole jump, and he saves it for his last act in professional rugby. I thought, for the record, the decision to yellow card him might be a little bit harsh. Carl Dixon seemed to give him the yellow card because his arms came down. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. Do you know what? I will be critical of the referee when we come to that, but I don't think it would have affected the result, really. So just let that one go. Anyway, harsh on Dan Cole to end like that. But, the Bath players just got the better on the day. And, there was that good start for Leicester Tigers. The try from Jack Van Portfleet on 5 minutes off the back of a maul. And that was Tommy Raffel had he won a penalty? No, they got a scrum pen, didn't they? Leicester got a scrum pen. And you thought, scrum, they've got a rumble on. Nicky Smith getting right into Thomas du Toit. They go for the corner. They get the rumble on. Montoya controlling it at the back. Darts off the back. Jack Van Portfleet straight over. Statement made. Tommy Raffel got done at the breakdown. That led to Finn Russell scoring the penalty. And then there was a breakdown penalty against Ollie Cracknell as well when Bath go to the corner. But they were making so many handling errors. And it was actually mentioned in commentary as well that Bath were kicking a lot, but not chasing as hard as they normally do. Although I actually think that's where the game was won. Will Muir, his aerial game, Tom de Glanville, they just... and bearing in mind Leicester have Freddie Stewart at the back, to do Leicester at the aerial side of the game. And Leicester were even chucking Hamro Liebenberg out on the edge to try and get those big bombs. But Bath, that's where so much ball and territory Bath got by pressuring Leicester at contestable kicks. Ben Spencer just putting up some absolute rockets. And I thought he had the edge over JVP. And so it'll be interesting to see who gets the starting job for England in their test matches against Argentina. Depends the way you want to play, but Ben Spencer just controlled it beautifully. Left foot from Spencer, right foot from Finn Russell, getting the ball in the right parts of the pitch. And guys like Will Muir and Ted Hill, animals chasing it. I do think Leicester got... the breakdowns generally. I mentioned that. Was it Cracknell or Raffel? I can't remember which one. It was just... there was one turnover that Guy Pepper got. Was like, I don't understand how he was allowed to have done that. And then there was others where Cracknell I thought was really harshly done by. But the point being is that, and Michael Checker was obviously very, very upset about it, said we did not get the calls today. But it was just the breakdown was just a loose, and it was a mess the whole time. And I just didn't think Carl Dixon was particularly decisive. And even when there were replays, I didn't agree with the decision. But that's all subjective. And the best team did win. I'm going to keep coming back and saying it. The best team won. And Guy Pepper, fair play. Man alive. Pollock and Pepper in the England back row. How many back rowers does one country need? England have got some unreal talent. And Guy Pepper and Ilioni as well for Leicester Tigers, the two of them could be travelling with England while there's all those British and Irish Lions away. Pollock being one of them, and Tom Curry and Ben Earl. Take your pick from any number of others. Ted Hill is the one I'm most excited about out of all of them, and it's his time. But Thomas the Tank, after the breakdown was a total free-for-all, Bath turned on their power game and they sort of kept it narrow and started to sort of punch, bang at the door a little bit. And that's where they got, it was, I forget, was it Ted Hill going through, punching, no, it was Benno Urbano punching one hole, and then Thomas du Toit going through. And I thought the breakdown call in the build-up to it was harsh on Bath, but I thought the actual rugby they played to score it was absolutely exceptional. The Montoya yellow, where... was it someone on the ref mic, or was it Carl Dixon himself who said, and I quote, I'm quoting now, he's absolutely twatted him. I want that to become something that should be in the referee's flowchart when they're making decisions. Was the contact high? Yes. Was it shoulder to head? Yes. Was it force? Yes. He's absolutely twatted him. Yes. Red card, maybe. Anyway, Montoya got away with a yellow, and Bath fans would probably feel he was quite lucky to have done so. I thought it was the right decision. I also thought, for what it's worth, the right decision for Nicky Smith on his own line. That was more contentious. When you looked at that, it's one of those things, when you look at things in slow motion, it can look so much worse. But it was momentary, instinctual. And I think more important is Quinn Roux obviously landed on his head and he was in quite a bit of pain. He sort of let the ball go a little bit and should have looked after it. That could have been a really, really key... Well, it was a really key moment because it kept Leicester in the game more so than they would have done, because at one point it looked like Leicester were about to go down to 13. They stay at 14, managed to survive that period, do really well without Montoya. And then Michael Checker, livid at the end of the first half that the decisions aren't going their way. He's back down the tunnel, gives his team a team talk. And second half, they were dogged. But Leicester, with those experienced players, Pollard and Montoya and Youngs and Cole and all those, Chesham, and They're a quality team, and they had their moments, but they were just not good enough. And Bath were better. And the crucial moment when Finn Russell, she's kind of symbolic for the way the game goes. You have world-class players on each team, but the guys wearing blue, black and white were the ones that had the big moments. And the guys wearing green had the moments that didn't go their way. I do think, and I did say this before the match, I thought Leicester had to win that one because they are losing Pollard. They are losing Montoya. I know Pollard, a lot of Leicester fans think he's not been great for them, but you can't replace what he can do. Well, you can, but it'll cost you a lot of cash. Montoya, they're not replacing him like for like. They're not going to be quite as good, although they were without George Martin and various players. Bath, this feels like dynasty time. They've got the cash in place. They've spent the money. The salary cap's going up again, and so they're going to spend more money. They're getting in Santi Carreras and Chris Harris. The depth is getting even greater. And over an 80-minute in any given match, I mean, they qualified for the playoffs with games to spare. They managed the squad brilliantly. And just to come back to it, actually, I haven't mentioned Johan van Graan. Fair play. Fair play. What a turnaround. 9 of the team that started that game in the Premiership final were in the team that finished bottom. Well, a lot more of them were in the squad, but there were 9 of them that played in the game that got them cemented to the bottom. They lost to Worcester Warriors away. 9 of that team were in the Bath team that played in the Premiership final. The squad has largely stayed the same, except for a couple of players, and the players they have added massively. And the turnaround that Johan van Graan has brought has been absolutely exceptional from the low ebbs that they've been on. Bath had all the cash. They had Bruce Craig. They were getting laughed at, to be blunt, finishing bottom of the table with the riches and the expectation that Bath had was completely unacceptable, and they got ribbed for it. Well, now they are sitting on top, and I think should be looking to go on and really challenge in the Champions Cup next year. They could have done this year if they hadn't kind of thrown it a bit against Benetton, but the decision to kind of throw the towel in the Champions Cup looks like a smart one because they've come away with 3 trophies this year, including the big one that's going to see a big parade around Bath, which I know the town of Bath. I know how rugby mad that place is. It's going to be It's going to be crazy. So the scenes around Pulteney Bridge with the crowd packed out, the wreck in the backdrop, the Georgian city of Bath right there. It's going to be some scenes. It's going to be some scenes, and deservedly so. So fair play, Bath. Well done. Enjoy your moment. Let me know what you think on the final. Apologies again that it's today, not yesterday. But there you go. I was travelling back from Greece. I'm here now, and we've got a busy old time of rugby coming up. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.